drive spine up, shoulders back, shoulder blades down. Join your palms. If you're wearing glasses, take them off. Close your eyes, join your palms. Use the joining of the palms to broaden the interior of your chest. Make space, unburden your rib cage. The shoulder girdle can be quite a heavy or sort of fraught, as in the sense of grippy burden on the rib cage, on the spine. Heavy or fraught. So you can, I suggest that you use the joining of the palms to spread the shoulder girdle across that rib cage. Loosen the tension. So that you can unburden the chest and the breath inside that chest. So this way, keep yourself quiet. Create an image of the teacher Patanjali. And bow to this teacher. Release your hands. Raise your and your armpits. So if you muted yourself, wherever you are, let's see, mute, Gail, Gay, I'm muting you. Vicky, I shall mute you now. Okay, good. Now, Adho Mukha Virasana, toes together, knees apart. Sit on your heels. Now, everything we said about calf squashing with some object might be a good time right now to take that. Because this is kind of interesting. The back of the leg, you can do this with anything. A rolled blanket, a rolled sticky mat, a piece of wood if you're feeling vigorous. The firmer the object, the more pressure, of course. Bring that object as close as you can behind the knee. Don't just move it back to where it's comfortable. Bring it just behind the knee so that when you do sit down, it stays close to the top calf. After which you add an extra blanket to make the weight tolerable. This is Ruby. Hi, Ruby. Keeping your thighs grounded. Come on, come on. Go forward. Adho Mukha Virasana. You can take your knees a bit wider apart if you need to. Adho Mukha Virasana. Lengthen the ribs forward. Stretch your arms. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now, come up, remove that pressure on the calves. Turn your toes under, tuck your shirt in if you need to, and up you go. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Lengthen these arms. Lengthen the ribs. Lengthen the spine. Lengthen the inside of the rib cage. And gradually raising the heels, not super high, but the purpose being to fully stretch the leg, fully extend the same way you lengthen these arms, inner and outer, lengthen the legs up to the hips. Go right to the hip socket. Stretch the arms, front and back arm, inner and outer. Now, walk forward with your feet the width of the sticky mat. Keep your feet on some hard surface. So it could be sticky mat or it could be floor, but it's not blanket. So be on the sticky mat in Ardha, and that's half Uttanasana. Feet sticky mat width. Perhaps you have bricks under the hands, or if the legs are flexible, Uttanasana, feet sticky mat width. Legs vertical. Make your outer feet parallel to the mat. Legs vertical. And the first thing you want to do is make that foot very settled on the floor. Really use the senses and sensitivity of the sole of the foot to kind of ground penetrating radar feel through your mat into the floor. Go in, project into the floor. And away from that, draw the thighs, outer thigh muscle up to the hip socket. Inner thigh soft. Inner groins wide. Lengthen the spine forward. And from the hip sockets, bend your elbows, fold down. Keep your feet ground penetrating. Keep the thigh lifting up. Soft groins. Now, widen your elbows, broaden the shoulders. Part facing the floor widens. The triceps, that's the part of the arm facing the ceiling, that also widens. Shoulder blades widen. Good. Relax just a bit. Then, preparing to come up, make your legs even more firm. Hips firm at the hip sockets. Bring your hands to your hips. And inhale, whatever shape your spine is in, just let it stay that shape. Roll your buttocks down. Bring your trunk up. Inhale. Good. Okay. So, like yesterday, oh, I'm going to change my camera view. You're going to stand up for a bit here, and I'm going to push this back so you might get a more of a view of height. Okay. So you can see me, and I don't know if you can see my hands, but close enough, hands to feet. Okay. Stand in Tadasana. Now you can get very close to a wall, so you are touching it and depending on it for some form of support, or you can be away from the wall, entirely independent. Let me say one other thing. This has to do with knee pains. You might need a knee rope, which could be that washcloth. Won't be a wooden object. It'll be a soft thing, like a rope or a washcloth. If you have knee pains when the knee bends, you protect the knee with some padding. Apart from that, here we go. Oh, and if there's trouble with the hip or knee, you can work this way. All right, just so. This is my right side. I know this is your right side, so taking support, stand in Tadasana. Taking, support or no support. Being able to relax and lengthen the back of the leg is very important to being able to release the front spine. So stretching the back thigh down, lift the front spine right from the pubis up. And then pick up your right foot with or without help. And don't place the heel yet, but stretch your left thigh again. And the front spine again. Now place the heel at the root of the thigh, as close as you can bring it. You want to feel it as if this heel, if you can manage it, this top heel is touching the bottom of the pubis bone. Push the heel in. Keep pushing until you can let go with no loss of foot position. Stand straight. Shoulders back, trunk up. Be here for a while. Your entire focus is to stretch the standing leg, back thigh, front groin, and then and repeat that with this bent leg. You have to be able to relax. You see my finger is pointing to the hamstring and the calf. So you have to let that back thigh relax as well as the front thigh. But being able to let go of this bent leg is going to give you some relaxation in the front spine. If you have balance, take your arms up. Stretch up. There is still a sense of ground penetrating radar through the feet. Now keep the arms lifted. Release the foot. Then release the arms. Be there for a bit. Catch your breath. Stretch your legs. Reconsider if you need more support, or if you need to change what you do behind the knee. Side two, stretch your back thigh, front spine. Right up to the skull. Then the left leg comes up. Catch that foot, don't place the heel right away. Re-stretch the back right thigh. Right groin, place the left heel, push through the back calf, relax the hamstring. That's going to help you lengthen this thigh. Ultimately, this knee goes down, but the back of the leg, right, has to make way for that. Right back thigh, hamstring to heel. So this front thigh has to move back for that back thigh to lengthen. And draw up that front spine. Lengthen the left groin, left front spine. Then the arms come out. When you're ready, lift up, keep the extension. Up you go. Penetrate through the feet. That push of your left foot against your right thigh is helping you create extension of that back thigh, front groin line. So keeping the arms extended, take the foot down, then arms down. Are you okay? So with the right foot, take hold of the inner knee with the right hand. See, I've got all my fingers underneath that knee, and you catch your toes, right? So I'm pulling my knee away from my toes, toes away from knee. And I just cross over. Now, you just move it around here. Hopefully it's comfy. If it's comfy, you keep moving, come up higher and place the heel higher and pull on those toes. You can let go of the knee if there's no pain and let the knee down. Keep the toes pulling away from the knee. Pull your foot. You can pull it any way you want, but pull your foot with help away from the knee. Change sides. If anybody have knee trouble, make a signal if you have knee trouble. If you have knee trouble, you have to do either take a knee support or with chair. So here's the chair idea. I patted the back of the chair and I put my shin over that chair back. And I'm standing a bit of a distance away so the knee joint is open. You see this, it's not folded in tightly like a Padmasana. It's open. It's an open knee. So this helps with the hip while protecting the knee.
Would that be better for me, Devon? Because I feel it in the outer hip. My knee's okay, but my outer hip is tight.
I think you would feel it in the outer hip. Anybody would. This chair bit is mainly to protect the knee, and also it's a lesser pose. It is a bit less intense in the hip, I think. So yeah, it might be good if you're feeling that's too much, if that goes back to the irritating.
I'll try it.
I remember your hip's been irritated. So yes, it might well be good. Here's another thing I'm gonna show. This is just anything, a rolled up sticky mat. This is another towel. So this hip is tight. So that means I prop the shin between the chair and my shin, and that doesn't, that keeps the hip from stretching extra. So very tight hip people can put a support in here. Okay, are we clear about what's up? Now, I'm putting this aside so I can just do side 2. And you can work with the chair as you may need to. Pick up that knee, stretch the foot away from the knee, and you do it low, you do it medium. You see if you can do it up high. And then keep pulling on the foot. I'm not squeezing the knee. All I'm trying to do with that knee is move it away from my hip and away from my foot, however it goes. Now, if you're on the chair, you're just trying to rest, settle. That's really the same thing at this point. Trying to get some quiet space in the hip, quiet space in the knee. Now you come out and change sides. So let me say, everybody get a chair, but you use it 2 different ways. The people who are currently using the chair is the hip protection, knee protection. I'm showing this in full form here. You want to center with respect to the chair, so your right hand goes to the right chair leg, and you come forward as much as you are able. Okay. So those who are doing the standing with the foot in Ardha Padmasana, you're gonna go like so. You have that same starting strategy. And if my back is to a wall, my foot is a bit away from the wall so that I don't force myself to fall as I fold forward. So your knee will be down forward. And according to how far forward you can go, you might even take your hands to the floor. You might hang deeply down. Okay. So you take this pose for a little bit here. And you spend some time, remember the parts of this. Your standing leg has to stretch, tuck, ground radar into the floor, and pull up to the hip socket. Likewise, the bent leg has to soften for its extension. And you come forward with soft groins, broad groins, and you take the support you need. Now, when you're in the fullest pose, your leg should be vertical. So if you've been leaning on the wall, can you come away from it, taking the leg to vertical? Now, slowly come up. Keep that standing leg firm. Take all the support you need. And then help that lifted leg out. Is that sufficient, Karen?
Yes, very good.
Good. Side two. Stand up straight. Make sure your body is even. Place that heel as you are able. You have to keep the back leg long and the front groin long. Hip sockets firm. So at first the spine comes up. The front spine has to drop away from this vrikshasana leg. Then you come forward as you're able. Don't let the wall push you forward, push you off balance. Lengthen the spine from the action of that standing leg. Even the bent leg shin is extending to the foot. Both feet have these sensors around penetrating radar. Take your spine as far down as you are willing to go. Then prepare to come up and take the support you need. Inhale up and help your foot out, leg out. Okay. Y'all right? So you have your chair. Yeah. Stand on your chair. What I recommend is, I'm showing you sideways, but I would recommend you put the back of your chair to a wall. And then you use the wall for support to stand up, and it's behind you like this. Now I'm going to show you sideways, so just be there. And you know what, if you're afraid of the heights, it's not perfect, but just stand on 2 bricks. You just need height. You need to be taller than you are. So just watch. I go to the forward edge of the chair, and I take my feet to the width of the chair, and I stand straight, and you take the support of the wall behind you as you fold forward. This is how you keep your security. Your hands touch the wall behind you. Okay? Then you come down, and it'll be interesting. You'll probably be able to get to the chair edge, and you might go lower. You might go lower. The height is quite interesting. But it's psychological. Okay. So the chair, in theory, the chair back is to the wall. And you climb up. And don't lean your buttocks to the wall. The legs stay vertical. Your toe tips are at the front edge of the chair. But as you go forward, your hands touch the wall behind you. So you're taking an Uttanasana on the chair. Stretch your legs. Now, to come up, open your eyes and put your hands on the wall behind your thighs or buttocks. And then you can come up and then still touch the wall as you step off the chair. Now, was that, now right away, take your feet the same width, fold forward, Uttanasana. Right away, right on the floor. Is there not a difference in the way the legs feel, the spine feels? Okay, come up. It's kind of interesting. I think well, it definitely feels different, does it not? All right, so here's another variant on the theme. Now you can do this with bricks if you have difficulty going to the floor. I'm gonna tilt the camera just a little bit so you see more floor. So let's say I need some kind of support. I take it. So you're unsupported in this Uttanasana. So what you're going to do is come up super high off your heels. And lifting your heel this high. You're not doing it by pushing. You're doing it by the lengthening of the shin. Pull your shin up, pull your thigh up. And see if it doesn't make it easier for you to take your hands lower. Then see if you can maintain the fold, lower the heels. So you come off the heels, take a bigger forward bend with the trunk, moving your palms to the floor, and then lower the heels. Take a deeper forward bend. Come out. Some of you, it looked like you were doing it. It looked like it wasn't working for everybody. So I'm going to do it differently. Again, try this one. Bend your knees, fold forward. So you completely close the gap between your abdomen and your thighs. Knees bent, trunk down. The hands could even hold the ankles, heels. Then keeping your trunk drawn down, keeping the ribs being drawn toward the shoulders. See if you can stretch your legs up. So you keep this contact and just stretch the legs. So this is the opposite of the prior poses, right? Where you raise the heels and made all that length. Right now you start out shortening the leg, shortening the hamstring, and relaxing that front spine, getting super quiet in the spine and abdomen. And then you see, can I hold that position, holding the ankles, pulling on the ankles, keeping the extension, and stretch the legs. So you maintain that belly to thigh contact, even as the leg pushes into the floor and up to the ceiling. So does that help the forward bend? Come out. Carefully release. Then legs firm, hands on the hips, come up. Are you okay? Is anybody developing backaches? Hip aches? No hip aches. All right. So we're gonna, let's see, change gears briefly and then come back to this hip work. So the inversion part of this class looks like this. Adho Mukha Svanasana, with the heels up high and the leg stretching up high. So Ekapada, Adho Mukha Svanasana, a very swoopy one leg extended pose. Do this. Adho Mukha Svanasana, keep the hips level. And raise the heels so to make it easy on both hips. Now raise the right leg up. And remember, our stretching today is the back thigh and front spine. So on that straight leg, lifted leg, make a point of pushing out, extending that back thigh. Rise up through that leg, make a swoopy Virabhadrasana 1 back bend shape. And out you come back to dog pose. Take a moment to equalize and then side 2. Back thigh stretching, rising, raise the standing leg heel, the right heel, so you have lots of lift, swoop up high, lengthen through the shoulders and ribs. Go exploring with your breath to find out if you have done the pose completely. Raise that outer right hip. And now to come back to dog pose. And then come out briefly and interlock your fingers. Put your forearms on the floor as if you were preparing for headstand. Keep your elbows at shoulder width and go right back up into Shirshasana or Ardha Shirshasana. Now walk your hips forward to invert your trunk. Come off the knees and walk forward. Be upside down, as vertical as you can be in the trunk. So it's less dog pose shape and more as if you're turning your trunk from elbows to hips vertical with the legs angling off. And you can raise one leg at a time if you like. Some of you could briefly go into headstand if you like. Keeping the forearms pressing, keeping that elongation of the trunk. Otherwise, you're working one leg at a time. Now it's a brief headstand. Thighs back, and media. Back leg straight, back leg straight. Keep those elbows, keep their pressure equal and even. Don't let yourself rock back and forth. All right.
Did we put our heads on the floor or was it head up?
I did not specify, and I typically don't put my head on the floor when I'm doing this practice, but there is a considerable value to learning how to put your head on the floor and keeping it there. It's not healthy for everybody depending on the person. Sometimes all you need is extension, like dog pose. And sometimes you need to learn how to bear weight. And it's an odd way to bear weight. It's not quite headstand. So it loads differently, and that makes it not great for everybody. If you're gonna learn to bear weight, my view is you should learn the strength without weight bearing and then get vertical upside down. It's safer. Okay. Upavishta Konasana. You might need some blankets. You might need your knee rope or washcloth. You might need a brick. And if you don't have a wall, you might need a chair or any object. Doesn't have to be a chair. It's got to be something that allows your arm to be open when it's reaching the armpit, to be open when it's reaching back behind you. So if I'm reaching down to the floor like this, my armpit is not open. Even when I'm like the armpit isn't open like this, now it's getting open, okay? So it could be as much, as little as a brick with the elbow bent. So you get this height and this spreading. the bent elbow, the elbow doesn't have to be bent. If you can see this, my arm can be almost straight so long as it gives me this height and that armpit spread. So chairs work very nicely. Okay. Upavishta Konasana, face forward at first. Don't worry about that side position. Stretch your legs. The back thigh, hamstring has to stretch. And there is a connection. My finger is pointing to the back thigh, the hamstring surface. Back thigh, right up to the butt bone, at which point it shifts the line shifts to the front spine. So now it's going from the hamstring up the front spine. Stretch out through your back thigh to your heels. Deflate these groins, left and right groin, from the edge of the pubis to the inner thigh. That must deflate so you can recede inward and come up through this front spine. Lift the ribs, not by puffing, but by receding. Stretch your legs away from that. Back thighs down. Now you turn to your right. And you know, by the same logic, you might have a brick in front of you to keep the elbow and consequently that side chest lift. So actually 2 bricks or 2 things to kind of attach to might be helpful. Stretch your back thigh. Release the front groin. Turn. If you're feeling twisty, still don't go past your leg. Keep your sternum at most in line with your right leg. Now stay here for a little bit and examine stay in this rotation and examine the 2 sides of the spine and the 2 lungs. And adjust your breathing to equalize across the 2 sides of the diaphragm and the 2 lungs. And then come out. Face straight forward. Adjust your position. If you twisted too far, just take it into account. If the legs were too wide apart, adjust. Side 2. Keep the side ribs, and you're not hunching the shoulder, you're lifting the ribs. And remember, back thigh stretches and front spine. Back thigh, front spine. Recede the groin, especially the one you're twisting away from. Especially the groin you're twisting away from. Come in and up and turn. So much height. And come out. bend. Maybe with a knee rope, if you need it, bend the right knee. Bring the heel in and raise it up if you can. I've got something in it, right? I'm lifting that heel. Roll the inner calf out. So look, if your foot is resting on its side, your knee can be on the floor. You'll have one position, but look what I'm asking the foot to do. I'm asking it to turn and push out through that heel and for the heel to come up. And then you push yourself up and push your knee down. So I'm turning my pelvis to make that happen. Pull that front spine up. Front spine up, knee down. So the groin extends, the hamstring extends, the calf extends, the front spine extends. Relax. Side two. Then the left leg, heel up, heel pushing away from the knee, even as the knee is folding and the heel comes in. Roll that calf out. Use a spacer as you may need to. Bring the heel in close. Now you're already extending through the back of the calf, and hopefully the hamstring is quiet. So you've got that back leg extending. Let go the groin of that leg and come up through the groin of the front spine. And work your way into as extended a pose as you can. Lift your trunk. Extend that front belly, front groin. As if you're trying to sit your groins down and lift your ribs up. And then release this and come out. You okay? Hips okay? Knees okay? Okay. Let's see. We have one more of these, but it's a twist. So here's a strap. You might need two, but I'm going to show with one. This is my right knee that I'm bending. So if all goes well, this is Janu Shirshasana knee bend. You can keep this if this is what you got in the hip, in the knee, in the foot. But if there's more, then you do what we did earlier, right? And I gave you sort of the means, Mula Bandhasana, and also that stretching of the shin as you go into Ardha Padmasana. All these shapes and these actions you've been here before. So then you can take a strap and put it around your ankle. You just thread it around your ankle and reach the opposite hand. This is my strap around the right shin, going over the right thigh, and my left arm catches that strap. So from this side, this arm is free, this leg is free. So the purpose of the strap is to make it so you don't overstretch this shoulder, this rib cage. If you happen to need more strap because your shoulder is tight, you just turn this into a slip knot, and then you have a lot more strap. And you can make some room. So here's what's going to happen. You take your bent leg arm, is the free arm, and you stretch up, reaching the leg out and coming up through that front spine. You come and catch your opposite foot and turn. Now, if I bend this back elbow, I can lift more that back armpit chest. Right? So unbind this back armpit. Unbind that back armpit. Use that strap. Extend the legs. Now that strap goes across its own thigh. So it holds the right ankle and it crosses over the right thigh. And the left hand catches that strap behind you. And then the right hand catches the left foot and you turn left. Keep the armpits open until you understand the chest part of the turn. And come out.
Devon?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I used a different thing to try to replicate what I did on the chair, because in the Janu Shirshasana, I don't really get anything that I can get pretty easily, but the Padmasana, I can't get at all. So I did a kind of intermediary thing where I tried to get the same feeling that I did on the chair and put a brick under my knee.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that
Yes.
felt pretty good.
I'll take that.
Okay.
Yes. If it gets you a sense that that hip can become quiet and you might have some actual control, meaning you can press and it will still stay quiet, won't feel.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like my hip is falling out of the socket, so that I'm not controlling it.
Excellent.
Okay. A good thing, right? Okay.
Stay with that. We have side 2 to 2, yes?
Yes, yes.
So your approach is cautious. You arthritic people or you people with ligament problems, bursitis problems, you go in by stages. So you always have the chance to absorb the response and protect your injuries. So it is the left knee that is bent now, and it is the right hand that's going around to catch that strap. You know, if you're very flexible, you would reach so far as to catch your shin where the strap is wrapping. And maybe if we warmed up more to this, that would happen. So you're facing forward at first, finding the leg actions and lifting the trunk out of those legs. Then you stretch the arm. Keep that back armpit open. So that back elbow right now is bent to keep the chest open. It stays bent as you go to catch that foot. Be watchful at this point, Karen, and everybody else, of the hip and the knee, right? Even here, it starts getting intense. Lift your trunk, turn those ribs. Open that back armpit. You know, if you had a wall behind you, you could use the wall, but the reason you've got that strap is because the pose has you catching your shin. Lift your chest, equalize the breathing on both sides of the pelvis, abdomen, and chest. Come out slowly.
Donna, I have one question. My one hip, like left side, is always tight. What to do? What exercise? What asana I should do to make both of them equal? Left is always very tight. Left
Who
hip.
is speaking?
Anamika. This is Anamika.
Anamika, there you. Anamika, you say your right hip is always tight.
Left.
Left hip. In Janu Shirshasana, in
No,
anything done today,
not today, always.
always. Because I only now see you, I can't quite say. Maybe if I had watched your hips as we moved earlier, I might be able to offer some advice, but the idea of being always tight on one side is fairly normal. That bilateral asymmetry is normal. The causes of it are myriad, many possible causes. So sometimes they're anatomical, you're born with a different shape hip, actually, structurally. And sometimes it's use. Sometimes you're used to always crossing one knee over the other instead of the other knee over the one. So there are postural asymmetries. If you are into sports, maybe as a child, maybe you always were kicking with the right leg, the soccer ball or whatever. There are so many possible reasons for us to be asymmetrical, and not counting injuries, just you had it.
No injuries.
So in women, childbirth can cause one to just sort of rearrange itself in the course of the pregnancy and never reset right. So I cannot tell you without looking what to do about it, except the effort toward evenness will be informative. And usually with hip work, you work on that unevenness with standing poses rather than sitting on the floor poses like we're working on. You need a balance of strength and flexibility. And that's all I'll say right now. But in future, if you make a point of calling my attention to it, I can address it earlier in the class.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. We have 6 minutes. We're going to do Chatushpadasana and Setubanta. So you must have 2 bricks. And those who need some form of neck support because your neck doesn't like bending too much, you put a folded blanket underneath where your shoulders will be. So your head will be off and shoulders on. You could use 2 blankets if your neck is especially tight. You have 1, 2 blankets. Don't use them yet. Place your feet on the floor. Place your palms on the floor. Face that palm down, not fingernails down. Palm down. Keeping the palms down, take the outer shoulder down. So thumb, inner palm down, outer shoulder down. Come up off the hips. Wait. See what's being stuck and what's being open, and start rolling the outer shoulders under again. Broaden across the throat. Keep the outer arms tucking into the socket and the throat soft. Palms down, heels down, hips up, ribs up. You're just sort of coming up into that pose. Now as you do, Anamika, you want to make sure that that outer thigh goes into the hip socket. Let your arms come closer to the hips, palms down. So the arms spread out to the sides, like perpendicular to the spine. They are more at a 45-degree angle, or your thumbs might even touch your heels. Hips up, shoulders down. Now that blanket support is underneath the shoulders. Hips up, Jaya. Hips off the brick, yes. Arms pressing down. Triceps tucking in. Legs getting tired. That's the way of it right now. Legs getting tired. Press the heel. Use that hamstring. There's a connection once again between that hamstring and what you're doing with it. That lengthening of the thigh and the lengthening of that front spine. Now, bring in the brick and place it underneath your sacrum and keep your ribs lifted. You could interlock your fingers if you like beyond that brick and roll your shoulders under some more. Now, those who are on a tall brick and feeling that the rib cage is open, you may feel like stretching your legs. It's okay if you do, but please don't irritate your spine. Lift your ribs. The blanket under the shoulders sometimes makes a helpful difference. Soft throat. Lifted chest, soft throat. This is maybe the most important part of the pose here. That lifted, open, buoyant chest. And the soft and deep and passive, quiet hit of the throat. The detached brain. Now, bend your knees, raise your hips. Technically, it's the end of class. And I will say, I hope a little bit differently than I said it yesterday. There are these yoga sutras. Patanjali talks about the moral and ethical principles of yoga, which are non-harm, first of all. That is the primary vow upon which all others kind of depend, from which all others follow. But non-harm, truthfulness, control of appetites, non-stealing, non-greed. These are considered by Patanjali and the philosophers to be called, they're called the great vow. The great vow. Maha, that's great, vrata, vow, the great vow. Now, what is great about them is that they are not conditioned. They're not conditioned by space, time, life condition, or circumstance. So if that is the great vow, is there something that's not the great vow? Yes. What is not the great vow is called the anuvrata. Now, anu can mean a bunch of things. And it's generally, you might say, translated as the small vow, but anu can be as small as an atom. It can be very, very small. So the small vow is not the one the yogis take. The small vow is a vow that is conditioned by life state, time, birth, circumstance. It's the small vows that get us and our human condition in trouble, right? We take a small vow when we say, I will protect this group, but not that group. When I will preserve this group from harm, but this other group is an enemy. That's a small vow. It's a conditional vow of non-harm, a conditional vow. So yogis don't take conditional vows. That is all. Namaskar.